All right, we're back on the Tuesday football. Welcome to Morcar Plays, Alex boy. Now, how are we doing? Football's been in the news recently, of course. Morcar's evil wizard eye has noted that European Super League is forming. But how are things going? Played 17, 27 points. We're within 3 points of the promotion slot, so this has been a better season than most. And part of the success has come from changing to this more attacking 4-4-2 formation. So let's carry on. Hope everybody's doing well today. Those people who have joined Morcar's channel, remember to check out your bonus content. You can see it by checking the various playlists, or have a look in the community tab, because I'll post any videos for you guys there. Rose of Dawn sadly tackled in the early going here. Charlemagne has won the ball back. Also remember, for those of you who are watching this is famously my least popular stream. Although there was some fan art. Somebody made a panini sticker of Semiagog, in his Sly Sneaks uniform, which was lovely to see. But remember that you can buy merch in Morcar's little RPG store. And I'm grateful for all of you who've bought merchandise so far. So, continuing this attack, can't really get anywhere, sadly. Rose of Dawn has missed her second tackle. I've been thinking recently about whether Dark Souls is the hardest game I've ever played. Does it deserve that title? It's hard to say, because once you know what you're doing, it's relatively easy, right? That's the thing with Dark Souls. Once you've cracked it, once you've cracked the level, or once you know what you're doing, it's more the fact that the first time through a level, there's a lot of things that kind of catch you out. So you have to do it over and over again to learn about what you're doing. But there are some more difficult games, probably pound for pound. I think the NES Ghost and Goblins is a very hard game, and I might bust that out. I don't know if it's suitable for Cozy Thursday, because it's not a very cozy game. It's a bloody difficult game. See if we can get a cross in here with Rose of Dawn. Okay. So yeah, Ghost and Goblins for the NES, I would say, is probably one of the more difficult games. Mega Man 1, pretty hard. Whether it's harder than Dark Souls, I'd have to replay it to really double check. But Rose of Dawn has not had a great game, to be honest, and I think I'm going to bring her off. Bring on Base Liz. What other games would even be in that conversation of difficulty? In a way, Baldur's Gate 1 is pretty hard. It's not Dark Souls difficulty, but it's a tough. Being a low-level Dungeons and Dragons, think of that early assassin in Baldur's Gate 1, for example. Trying to think of some other really difficult games. That Cuphead was pretty hard, that came out a few years ago. That was a really difficult game. Mario the Lost Levels is a tough game. In fact, Mario the Lost Levels has to be up there. Maybe that's the most difficult one I can remember playing. It really does kick your ass, that one. Trying to remember some other ones. I mean, if you ever play that old game, Another World or Out of This World, without any sort of playthrough or without being able to save or reload, that's a difficult game. Another World. I think they re-released that a while back. Kind of a unique adventure. There's an old game called The Last Express, an adventure game which has got like a time limit on it. And a few of those old adventure games are pretty brutally difficult, you know. I mean, I have to be honest, I never got anywhere in Myst. I don't think I ever got past the first bit of Myst. So Myst is hard. I mean, it doesn't kill you, but it's a difficult game. Trying to remember some other... There was another one along the lines of The Last Express called... Oh, look. Cross. Missed the header. What was that one called? Maputi Island? I think it was called Maputi Island. I would say that is a very difficult game as well, because it's time limited. There's an adventure, you know, there's a crime investigation you have to do. So, yeah. Oh look, their defender is called Bullied. Yeah, I have to rack my brains for more difficult games to think about. Ooh, I missed an upgrade there for Radlib. I think I'll give him... This is always a good one. This one. Okay. How are we doing on... Okay. Let's continue. Okay. Just give me a moment here. 1 second. It was the postman. I had to take some delivery of some arcane scrolls. So, yes. I've been trying to perfect a new spell recently, and so that's what I had to get the door. Alright. Binary Surfer now, out to Not So Obvious. So anyway, what were we talking about? Oh yes, difficult games. Or games that are comparable to Dark Souls for difficulty. I mean, Donkey Kong is pretty tough, you know. I mean, I know there's only 3 screens in it, but those 3 screens are very difficult because of the limitations of the technology at the time. So they would, you know, to get their money's worth out of the arcades, they'd make those early arcade games extremely hard. To pump, you know, to get people to pump more shrapnel into them. So maybe you know, Donkey Kong's hard. One of the most difficult games I've ever played, not necessarily due to the game design, but due to potential kind of flaws in the technology, was Gyromite with ROB. I actually had a Gyromite with the original robot, and It's oh, okay. And you know, it came with these like little spinning discs that you were meant to put on these. They called them gyros, and the disc would spin. And they were expecting you to use ROB, control him, to pick up the spinning disc and put it on a little pad, and then the the gyration, the spinning of the disc, was meant to maintain the disc on this button. I mean, it was insane. I mean, if anybody could do a single level of Gyromite using ROB, I would be surprised, because it basically didn't work, you know, because the spinner thing would the spinner thing would run out essentially. So cross in from Poe didn't come to anything. Looks like we're headed for a 0-0. So yeah, Gyromite's on my list. I'm just kind of shortlisting, you know, Ghost and Goblins, Mario Lost Levels, Gyromite, Mega Man 1. You know, the meme, you know, glorified Super Punch-Out. I mean, Super Punch-Out is quite hard. Try to do those last 4 people without a guide or anything. Bloody solid. Even when you know what you're doing, it's hard to do. So Super Punch-Out is hard in the later levels. I think I'm going to bring on Tails feature here. Rare game for him. Yeah, Maputi Island. Mapatu Island, or whatever it was called, and well, here we go. The Last Express is hard as well. Crosses are not coming off today. Cuphead is hard. Honestly, everyone's a Wally, which I still haven't completed. That's got to be up there, hasn't it? I mean, how hard is Everyone's a Wally? Okay, Rose of Dawn has won this one. Raiding down the left. I can't really think of any games that I mean, as I mentioned, the early stages of Baldur's Gate 1 can be pretty crushing, especially if you go a wizard. You know, the first like level 1 and level 2 as a wizard are hard in BG1 if you really don't know what you're doing. Trying to think of some other examples now. What else? I mean, a game that has the reputation of being the hardest of all time is Wizardry 4. You know, I've never played Wizardry 4, but apparently in the first 3 wizardry games, there's this there's a particular kind of end boss of the dungeon, like the master of the dungeon, wherever he is, who I imagine to be an evil wizard. And in Wizardry 4, you play as him. He's been captured, and you're meant to go through the games like summoning minions, trying to escape from this dungeon, and you play as the bad guy, trying to get out. But apparently, it's egregiously difficult. So maybe Wizardry 4 is one that is in the conversation. I haven't played it though, so I can't speak to Wizardry 4. I'm afraid, and I doubt I'm going to play that either. I do have a plan of playing Wizardry 6 to the end, then Wizardry 7, and all the way through. Just keep Wizardry Wednesday going, you know. See if this crosses have not been coming in at all today. I may switch up here how this midfield is configured because this space right down the middle is being too easily exploited by the opposition here. So that's a little tactical tweak I want to make, I think. It's going to be more of a diamond in midfield than a classic 4-4-2. Oh, he's got a shot in on goal here, and he scored. Damn it! Conceded. I'm gonna change up the formation here. Just play more like that. Foul. I mean, other sorts of difficulty. I mean, people talk about Dwarf Fortress. That's just got a very, very steep learning curve. Once you know what you're doing, it's not that difficult. I mean, it will kick your ass occasionally. Some of your best laid plans can come to waste very easily in Dwarf Fortress. Similar in RimWorld, I guess, as well, where you think you've planned everything and you know, all your plans get destroyed with a badly timed invasion, or you know, whatever it is. Some bit of engineering goes wrong. Not really the same sort of difficulty that we're talking about with Dark Souls, though, is it? I mean, we were having this conversation in one of the chats on one of the Dark Souls stream, and some people were talking about the underwater level in Turtles being like a particularly difficult level. Can't say I remember that, to be honest. I don't know which Turtles they're on. Are they talking about Turtles in Time, the arcade game? If we're talking about individually difficult levels, probably any level from the Lost Levels is... I mean, there's some real difficulty in that, where, you know, they give you like a tiny little block, you know, one little block to stand on, and you have to make a really massive jump, and then there's another one, and I mean it'll drive you nuts. Mario the Lost Levels. It's a brutal game. I mean, famously, it was too difficult to release in America. That's how maybe the only game ever not released because it was too difficult for foreign market. I don't know if Japanese gamers are particularly skilled or masochistic or whatever, but you know, it came out in Japan and then it never came out in America until you got Mario All Stars, which I had, of course. I might give Lost Levels a go just to see how difficult it is and how it stands up and so on. I know gaming journalists are kind of against difficulty, aren't they? I've been, you know, I've seen a lot of stuff since playing Dark Souls, where, you know, videos come up in my suggestions bar of various journalists complaining about Dark Souls being too difficult and, you know, having a go at the game design and so on and so forth. I mean, there are some bits that are cheap, I would say. There is that section in Sen's Fortress where you go across the bridge and there's the mage shooting at you, and then there's a trap right behind the mage. I mean, the thing is, there we go. Pull that back. The thing is about the design, if it is the intention for you to die a lot, then there's nothing wrong with that design, because you know, if the intention is for you to be able to do it on your first go, then it's like, well, you couldn't possibly know that, and the game is going to continually, you know, will continually kick your ass. I mean, that section I'm talking about on Sen's Fortress, how would a first time player possibly figure that out on their own? Because they have to work out how to get across the bridge, they have to kill the minion, and they have to avoid the trap right behind, all while figuring out where to go for the first time. You know, so it really depends on how you want to judge these things. If it's designed with the intention of dying a lot, then that's absolutely fine. If the idea is, you know, being friendly to new players, then obviously. But I get the impression that Dark Souls is designed, you know, for you to die a lot. In which case, the design is perfectly fine. Oh, I forgot to change the formation up, didn't I? Let me do that again. Play in this way more. Okay. So people have been making fan art of the Dark Souls, which I've been sharing. If you have any, if you want to make any memes or anything like that, send them to me, and I'll stick them on that community tab for people to see. I think some people have been enjoying that. What else have we got here? They're playing a straight back five, this team, so they're going to be pretty tough to break down. They're very weak defenders, though, I can see. Not a particularly good side. Get that cross in. Yes. There we go, it's much better with AA behind and Shinobi in the middle. It's a much better setup for the way this game works, I think. So let's slip in a through ball to Pharaoh. Nice. Nice. Cross. Oh, missed the cross. And what's good about having the two strikers is there's two chances of that at the crossing, which is phenomenal. Okay, happy with that, going in at 1-0. I think after Dark Souls, people have been asking me if I'll play Dark Souls 2 or 3. Somebody has bought me, they just gifted it to me randomly on Steam one day, the game Disco Elysium. Now, I've seen some people criticise the politics of that game, but I've also seen a lot of hype for it, calling it possibly the best RPG of all time, which is a pretty big claim. I mean, if you're going to say a game is better than Baldur's Gate 2, it better be bloody good. So I'm going through, maybe I'll play, I'll do a playthrough of Disco Elysium. Not played it before. Highly hyped game. Let's see what happens. I mean, it does look interesting, to be honest. I have always wanted to play a detective game, a game that it really simulates being a detective well, and it does look like there are detective elements, at least, of Disco Elysium. I mean, there are certain games in that have done the detective thing reasonably well. There's an old game called J.B. Harold's Murder Club that I think it came out for the PC Engine, but I think possibly also there was a NES remake, or another one of those things that was big in Japan, J.B. Harold's Murder Club. I think they made a few of them, but the very first one was worth playing, I would say. Difficult, but good. There's another game called Jack the Ripper, which is a 1995, 96 DOS game, which has got like an inbuilt logic system, trying to solve the Jack the Ripper mysteries. That's a fantastic detective simulator, I would say. You see, the trouble with a lot of detective games is that they're just point-and-click adventures, and ideally you don't want a point-and-click adventure, you want something that simulates actual detective skills, right? So, I mean, I'm sure some of you were screaming L.A. Noire at me, but I didn't actually care for L.A. Noire. I thought it was a bit rubbish, to be honest. There was much... I like the old FMV Sherlock Holmes consulting detective games. Came out in about 1991. Those are definitely worth playing. Because the underlying mechanics are built on the board game Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective, which means it's fundamentally a solid game. If you look past the abysmal accents on display in the FMV. And speaking of FMV, another very good detective game is Contradiction, Spot the Liar. That was a really fun game, and that had pretty good detective elements in it as well. So those would be my, the picks for. I forgot to change the formation again. I keep on forgetting this. Those would be my picks when it comes to the detective genre. Although I won't be judging Disco Elysium as a detective game, I will be judging it as an RPG first and foremost. And I've been thinking about possibly doing videos about RPG, like what makes an RPG, what are the RPG elements, how do you break them down, and maybe I'll think about like what is it that you may be looking for. What are the different types of RPGs even? For example, is Dark Souls an RPG? I would say it is not an RPG. I would say it is an action-adventure game with certain RPG elements, similar to something like... I don't want to say similar, but it would be in the same genre as Assassin's Creed Odyssey. another game that's, is an action adventure game with RPG elements, right? I mean, you could say those elements are quite vast and fleshed out, but they're still just RPG elements. It's still basically an action adventure game. Whereas Wizardry 6 that I'm playing at the moment is very, very definitely an RPG. There you go. So what is it that defines the RPG? Well, a lot of people would think about storyline, but I don't think an RPG needs a storyline at all. An RPG is more of a system that allows you to have various adventures like Dungeons and Dragons or Pathfinder or any other ones you want to name. Hold on. So in Wizardry, for example, it's the base stats, of course. Now, yes, you've got those in things like Assassin's Creed and Dark Souls as well, but the leveling system, the spell system, the ability to make important kind of decisions. Hold on. I mean, Wizardry is a type of RPG known as a blobber, because all of the characters are a blob on one screen, and obviously it's a party-based game. You have a party of 6, just like in Baldur's Gate. But of course, Baldur's Gate is an isometric RPG. It's not turn-based; it's in real time. So, if we were to look at those 3 games then, Wizardry 6, Baldur's Gate and Dark Souls, why would the first 2 be RPGs but the last one not be an RPG? I'm just thinking out loud here, like, if there's enough RPG elements, why not class Dark Souls or Assassin's Creed Odyssey as RPGs? Genuine question to be asked. Let me know your thoughts. If how would you class those games? So I'm trying to think of, like, well, other than the fact that you have to push the button to move the man, what are the RPG elements that are missing that you'd expect to be in a fully blown RPG? To be honest, at this stage, I'm not sure if there is a difference. I think there are probably enough RPG elements to give them the title of an RPG. I mean, from what I've seen of Assassin's Creed Odyssey being played, the options in that game are pretty robust. As robust as in Dark Souls. You've got loot, you've got different character choices, you've got a leveling system, you've got a spell system. You've got a kind of big narrative storytelling. Can't really think of what's missing there. Another disappointing draw. What are we doing on time here? I feel like I've been rambling forever. We got time for one more, I think, before we wrap this up. Okay, one last game and then we'll get out of here. Looks like we're just going to miss out on promotion, sadly. It's the end of the season. It's the end of the season, and look, we've finished 6th. Absolutely mid-table. The Slice Sneaks, the absolute mid-table side. Didn't win a trophy, came 6th in the league. Charlemagne he only scored 12 goals this season, and Pharaoh and D were also picked as the best players in the league. Sponsor. Let's go for that one. There's some youth player that's come through. Sell that player immediately. Okay. I mean, what's that? Won the Prestige Cup once. Oh no, came third in the Prestige Cup once, and second in the Amateur League once. So even when we got promoted, we only came second in the league. Such a mediocre side. Is there a way to look at the history of the Size Sneaks? Oh, here we go. So we came 5th in the Amateur League in the first, in 91, 2nd and got promoted in 92. Then we finished 7th, 6th and 6th. Such a mid-table 3rd division side. Absolutely cemented the mid-table in the third league. Is there anything to do with on the old training front? No, not really. How are they doing on training before we get out of here? Ideally, I want the whole defence to be on over 20. So we'll just keep them on there until they're all on 20 for passing. Defence, ideally, I want both of them over 40, and then I'll flick them back to passing. These two I want to be over 30 for shooting, so I'll leave them on there. And I'll leave Charlemagne on that until he's over 40 as well. And yep, okay, so all of that is fine. I mean, I wonder if Don should be starting. Let's have a look. 73, 54, 55, 23. No, Radlib's got better control. I'll keep it like this for the time being. Okay, these two need to up their passing. Semiagog didn't play much last season, did he? Did he even get on? He only had 5 games last season. Alright, now let's think about the formation here. So, definitely want that. I'm wondering, if the winger thing is working out. Whether we may want to switch up what we do. No, I think we'll stick with it. Let's just have one game to start the new season, and then we'll get out of here. Yeah, I'm also interested after Disco Elysium to play some of the highly rated RPGs of the past few years that I didn't bother playing, like Pillars of the Earth, which I've got. I just haven't played it. In fact, I've got Pillars of the Earth 1 and 2. Dragon Age Origin. I think I've got 1 and 2 of that as well, and Divinity, and I think I've got 1 and 2 of that as well. So there's a chance that after Disco Elysium I might do some other kind of long players as well. We'll see how it goes. maybe after Dark Souls, nobody will be interested to watch anything further from darling Morcar. I've also been looking at a few cozier games. There's a lot. I've been delighted to see there's a lot of games involving like blacksmiths and starting little shops and things like that, either in the pipeline or already on the market. And I think I may be wanting to test some of those out soon as well. So. I mean, in some ways, the best time ever to be a gamer is always right now, right? Because you get to play all of the games ever. But I genuinely think that the indie market is very healthy on Steam. There are lots of interesting games made. There's a whole developer that they're not a developer. They're a publisher called 1C Entertainment, and they came up on Steam the other day, and I honestly thought their entire back catalogue looked really interesting. So there are some other games I want to try. I have always, I've got hundreds of games that I've bought on Steam and not played, like hundreds. And I've always got a wish list of 80 plus 90 games at any given time. Because I'm always interested by concepts, and I've been like that for a very long time. I love unique concepts in games, and there are so many of them now, or variations. People making Dwarf Fortress clones, and there's a very healthy indie market in people making extremely niche games of the sort that I enjoy. So in some ways now is the best time ever to be somebody into the sorts of games that I am. And of course, there's nothing stopping you going back to play the games of the 80s, 90s, 2000s. I think there was a dark period in gaming, which was towards the end of the 2000s. That was probably the darkest period, where it looked like the AAA titles were all taking over, and that the industry had been kind of gone mainstream and been killed off. Basically, the takeover of Blizzard and all of these sorts of things. But I would say that actually what has happened is that has actually made the universe of gamers and gaming that much bigger, so that it's big enough that it can support all of these many hundreds of indie companies. So in my opinion, tell me if you agree or disagree with some of these takes in the comments, by the way. In my opinion, we are experiencing a golden age, akin to a golden age of bedroom developers, akin to the early pre-crash, pre-1983 golden era, or the little period there where people were developing for the Spectrum, or even the mid and early 90s. If you ask me, gaming has arguably never been in a healthier state than it's in right now, and it's partly as a result of, I hate to say it, but the mainstreamization of it, because it being that big and having so many people playing those AAA titles means that the market is big enough to support all of those niches underneath. So in a way, the AAA titles give us nice cover to have all of this stuff underneath. The technology and the ease of things like the early releases on Steam, You know, playing games when they're in alpha and beta, being able to buy things, Kickstarter. These things, I think, have revolutionized how games are developed, and um, I think we're in a very good place. I know there are a few people in my audience who are games developers or work for games development companies. Tell me if I'm wrong. I mean, I feel like it's never been easier for a bedroom developer to make a game and get it out there for people to be able to play than it is right now. Um, you know, once upon a time, you'd have to go through various layers of gatekeepers, wouldn't you? But now, of course, I don't believe you do. So here we go. Cross in from Rose of Dawn. Didn't get there. Alright, I've been in a very talkative mood today, haven't I? I suppose I'm rejuvenated after defeating Sen's Fortress. All my confidence is back. And of course, I've actually played on a little bit, but you guys won't get to see that until Friday. Okay. Alright, thank you very much, everyone, and see you soon. Is it just an upgrade tray? Yes. Yes, Alex boy. Okay. Alright. Thank you very much again for watching my little football stream on Tuesdays. Played one, drawn one. Looks like it's going to be yet another mid-table finish for the Sly Sneaks. Alright, bye.